have the questions, we have the answers. Welcome to AOSD-The Assembly of Sound Doctrine Chandler. This is a YouTube channel dedicated to learning the ancient Hebraic mindset. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Make sure you comment, like, share, and hit the bell. Y'all have a blessed evening. Stay in shalom.
Even though, okay, there we go. My phone's tripping, but I'm straight now. All right. I'm on all platforms. All praises to the Most High. And as you guys have heard, the tragic news, which is Elvin Israel lost on another futurist platform. Moment of silence. Thank you, guys. Try not to be so distraught. Joy is coming in the morning. No, but for real though, I want to explain about the new heavens and earth. I got to explain it, not to rebuttal the debate that I lost, which we all know that I won. Hint, hint. But I actually want to give the understanding of the new heavens and earth, because the understanding given from the judge's rebuttal was from Google. And for everyone out there, I want you guys to understand Google should never be your biblical authority. If you don't know the Bible, trust me, Google isn't going to help. It's just a bunch of opinions from other people who don't know the Bible. Okay? So if you don't know the Bible and you call yourself a judge, or you're in a high position and you got people listening to you, and if you have to go to commentaries and Google, put it down. Walk away until you understand and then come back. Okay? You can use it every once in a while. Let's say you get trapped on a word or an idea. Maybe you can use it. But for a whole breakdown, a whole lesson, a whole understanding, no, guys, we're not going to do it that way. Shalom to everybody on the panel before I start. Anybody got anything they would like to add before we start? So, yeah, y'all, I want y'all to stay in shalom. We got something big and great coming up. Well, at least tell me, can y'all hear me? Am I picking up? Hello? Okay, maybe I'm not picking up. I might have to go out and come back in. There we go. Can y'all hear me now? Okay, bad. My phone is acting up. So now all I'm finna go through and show the ancient Israelite understanding of the new heavens and earth. Once again, everybody, we're gonna go through the ancient Israelites' understanding of the new heavens and earth. Because Black Jesus, he wasn't the only one. There's a lot of people who think that the new heavens and earth in Isaiah 65 is about the millennial reign. It's a lot of people with that false notion. So tonight, I want you guys to be able to understand what's actually going on. So we finna get ready to get started. Wisdom, you want anything to say before we start, bro? That is a no from Brother Wisdom. All right, y'all, let's get ready to get started. All righty, so the new heavens and earth. I only got 3 slides, so it ain't gonna be that long. Let's talk about it. The new heavens and earth. So this is going to be the scripture foundation. Get your pens and paper out so you can write these things down or highlight them in your Bible. But you're really going to need to take notes on this if you want to know how to thoroughly explain what the new heavens and earth is about. Okay, so now the new heaven and earth, Isaiah 65, 17 through 20 says this: For there shall be a new heaven and a new earth. So this is coming from the Brenton Greek. In the Hebrew, the translation has new heavens with an S and earth. So the Greek is showing that they actually mean the same thing. But let's just, I'm just going to say a new heaven and a new earth. Then I'm going to say heavens. Okay. For there shall be a new heaven, heavens, and a new earth. And they shall not at all remember the former, neither shall they at all come into their mind. Talking about the former heaven and earth. Verse 18, but they shall find but they shall find in her joy and exultation. For behold, I make Jerusalem a rejoicing and my people a joy. So inside of this new heavens and earth, this is when the joy is going to occur. Here's verse 19. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and will be glad in my people. So this is the first time that the Lord is glad in his people. Before then, he had no enjoyment dealing with his people. So I will be glad in my people, and there should be no more heard in her the voice of weeping or the voice of crying. Okay, so they say that that's actually about the new heaven and earth. But this right here, verse 20, is about the millennial reign. Now, I know you guys are thinking, man, that's very confusing, especially since Isaiah doesn't even say anything about this being the millennial reign, or Isaiah, he isn't even hinting that he's changing subjects here. I know you guys are thinking that, but for some reason, people think that Isaiah is changing subjects. Sorry for me stuttering over my words, but here's verse 20 now. Neither shall there be there. See now, even though it says there, right? Even though it says there, which is the new heavens and earth, even though it says there, they still make it be some other place. So neither shall there be there anymore a child that dies untimely, or an old man who has not completed his time. For the youth shall be 100 years old, and the sinner who dies at 100 years old shall also be accursed. So we have the background. Okay, we have the background. Now, this is how John, the Revelator, speaks on this same subject, which people says no, this is about a different subject. Once again, we're not going to change the meaning of the Bible to fit our opinions. We're going to let God's words be God's words, okay? So this is Revelation 21:1. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. And then the next verse says this, and I didn't write it down on my slide, but this is what the next verse says in Revelation 21:4. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there shall be no more, neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain, for the former things have passed away. Now, Isaiah says in verse number 19, and there shall be no more heard in her the voice of weeping or the voice of crying. And people will want you to believe that they are not saying the same thing. People will come because they're futurists and they want to disagree with what the scripture is alluding to and explaining. They will want you to believe that no more weeping and the voice of no more crying doesn't mean that there's not going to be no more crying. See? Or no more mourning. They will want you to believe, just because they're futurists, that these things mean two exactly different things happen at two exactly different times. Now, I know you guys are saying, hey, it says in the new heaven and the new earth, these things are going to happen. And in Revelation, it says in the new heaven and the new earth, these things are going to happen. I know it's common sense, but people are going to say, hey, that one says new heavens and that one says new heaven. So these are two different places because heavens is plural and heaven is singular. Well, we are going to explain how that's ridiculous today using the ancient Jews, because that's a modern day Western explanation to explain the reality of all things being fulfilled away. So they go as far to say one is singular, the other is plural, so they don't mean the same. Now, when you do that, you better have some things to back up. Hey, I'm not against that method. If you're going to use that method, I'm not against it, because Paul said, hey, he said seed singular and not seeds plural. So I dig that method. But Paul had scriptures and ideology to back it up. Today, people don't have no ideology or scriptures to back it up. They just say it to try to explain full preterists away. But now we will go into some ancient Hebraic writings to show you exactly when the new heavens, the new earth, the no more untimely deaths. We're going to show you exactly when that was going to happen, because according to some people, that happens in the millennial reign. So now let's tackle this. The book of Jubilees, we know it was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, this is what I'm finna tell you guys. Thank you for listening to the debate. All praises to the Most High. And, we're just trying to do the Lord's words, and we got more information to come. All praises. But if you guys don't get it, I'm here to give you guys one of the mysteries. Now, this isn't going to be the Holy Spirit inspired mysteries, but this is going to be nonetheless mysteries. The Jews, believe it or not, the Jews left commentaries on their scriptures. I know people can't believe that, right? People believe that you got to go to the church fathers or the theologians or the pastors today, or you got to go to the quote unquote scholars of the 18th, 19th, 21st century. You got to go to these people to see how to understand the Bible. Y'all, believe it or not, the Jews left commentaries on their scriptures. So, all you have to do is listen to the commentaries. And if the commentaries agree with the New Testament, do y'all not know that the New Testament, which we have in our Bible, called the New Testament, it's a commentary on the law and the prophets? Did you guys not know that the New Testament is giving the commentary on how to understand the law and the prophets? Okay? Did y'all know that, right? But check it. Before the New Testament came, there were already Jews who was giving commentary on the law and prophets. So before there was a Jesus who walked on the earth, we ain't talking about heaven, but on earth. Before there was Peter or James or Paul, there were Jews who left commentary on their scriptures. So what we're going to do, we're going to read some of those commentaries that the Jews left on their scriptures to prove that they all knew Isaiah 65, verse 20 and below, wasn't talking about the millennial reign, which the person who judged my debate and said I lost, they said that that's one of the reasons why I lost, because it was in the millennial reign. So now we're going to look at the ancient Jews. Someone just asked me, which Jews? The Jews that lived in the BC era, the ones that we call Zadoks, who the Sadducees got their name from. The Zadoks, who were the priests, you can find them spoken of dealing with David. You can find them spoken of dealing with Ezekiel. The Sadducees came from the Zadoks. So we're talking about those from Zadok's lineage. We're talking about some from the Pharisaic lineage. We're talking about some from the Essene lineage. We're talking about the ancient Jews who knew there were Jews. We're not talking about the converts. Now, I think the Zadoks came from the Sadducees, not the Pharisees. I don't think that I'm wrong about that. I thank you, my brother. Yes, I am on Clubhouse too, boss. I am on Clubhouse too. Yes, sir. And I'm on Facebook. And this is going to YouTube. So now we're going to go to the Book of Jubilees. If anyone knows about the Book of Jubilees, you know that Jubilees is the book that was pretty much found most from the Dead Sea Scrolls community. There were more Book of Jubilees than there were books of Torah. There were more books of Jubilees found than there was books of the law and the prophets. So this is what, because I want to give y'all just the explanation real fast, and we're going to continue on. The law and the prophets, they were found more in the synagogues, but before synagogues, they was being passed around mainly by the higher class and the priest. So not everyone was able to receive the Torah and the prophets or the Tanakh. So what they had in place of the Torah and the Tanakh was either oral tradition or the Book of Jubilees. So the Book of Jubilees was something more that was passed around the community because they had more access to this literature than they had Torah and the Tanakh. But what the authors of the Book of Jubilees did, they gave a commentary on the Torah and the Tanakh. And since they gave that commentary, it was easier for the community to pass this information around. So more in the ancient world, more people knew the information from the Book of Jubilees than they knew from the law and prophets. Let me say this again. In the ancient world, more people knew information from the Book of Jubilees than the law and prophets because it was given out to the community compared to the law and the prophets. It was only in the higher class and in the synagogues later on, and they only was able to read short portions. So the Book of Jubilees got rid of that. So now, this is how, when the people who created the Book of Jubilees, when they heard Isaiah 65 dealing with the new heavens and the new earth, this is how they left their commentary on the new heaven and the new earth. Jubilees 1, 27 through 29. This is the commentary on Isaiah 65, 17 through the end of the chapter. It says this: and the Lord will appear to the eyes of all, and all will know that I am the God of Israel, and the father of all the children of Jacob, and king on Mount Zion for all eternity. So if you just missed what he said there, see, I'm going to show you how to understand what's going on here. He says and all will know that I am the God. Y'all remember the new covenant promise? No one will teach you to know the Lord, for all will know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will forgive their iniquities and remember their sins no more. So you see that all will know me. So when Jubilee says at the end, because this happened at the end, the Lord will appear to the eyes of all, and all will know that I am the God of Israel. He's speaking. This is when the new covenant occurs. Okay. So now let's look at what happens at more. And the angel of the presence who went before the camp of Israel, and we know that's supposed to be the Messiah, the word of God, the angel of the presence who was before the camp of Israel, took the tables of the divisions of the years from the time of the creation of the law and the testimony of the weeks and of the jubilees according to the individual years. That's what Daniel 9:24 is about. Those 70 weeks is about jubilees. But let's keep going on. According to the number of the jubilees, according to the individual year. Now, something is stated after this. From the day of the new creation. So now we're talking about the new creation. So from the day of the new creation, when the heavens, see that's an S, when the heavens and the earth shall be renewed. So when the judge was saying, hey, that new heavens right there actually means renewed. Okay, the people in Jubilees agree with that. But they also call it a new creation. And they said in that new creation, when the heavens and earths shall be renewed, and all their creation according to the powers of the heaven. So, according to the authors of Jubilees, the renewing of the new heavens and earth happens in the new creation. The millennial reign wasn't the new creation. We got it? We get it? The millennial reign wasn't the new creation. So the renewing of the heavens and earth happens in the day of the new creation. So that's one way. That's one against the the heavens and earth that Isaiah is speaking of being the millennial reign. That's one check against it. Let's keep going on. And according to all the creation of the earth, until the sanctuary of the Lord shall be made in Jerusalem on Mount Zion. So we find out that the sanctuary of the Lord, aka the Lord tabernacling in Jerusalem, that happens during the time of the renewing of the heavens and earth. So when the heavens and earth is renewed, then what follows is the sanctuary of the Lord being put in Jerusalem on Mount Zion. Exactly what the Revelation is saying. Let's keep going on. And all the luminaries be renewed for healing. And we know the luminaries are supposed to be those that are of number the stars of heaven, the descendants of Abraham, the true descendants. And anyway, and all the luminaries be renewed for healing and for peace and for blessing for all the elect of Israel, and that thus it may be from that day until all the days of the earth, showing that there's no more destruction of the earth after that. Okay. So that's Jubilees 1:27 through 29. Now we're going to look at First Enoch. Because did people tell you, don't look at Enoch? It's about giants. They don't understand this is all parabolic in nature. But did y'all not know that the book of Enoch also gave a commentary on Isaiah 65, 17 through the end of the chapter? Yes. So not only did the book of Jubilees give a commentary on it, so did the book of Enoch. So you remember Jubilees says the Lord is going to appear before all, and then there was going to be a renewing of the heavens and earth on the day of the new creation. And then after that, what follows, the sanctuary of the Lord is going to be placed in Jerusalem on Mount Zion. So this is how Enoch explains it. And these are the authors of First Enoch, not Enoch himself, but the authors of First Enoch, which were Jews who they might have received passed down information. That's on you to believe. But let's see what they had to say, because this was found, the book of Enoch was found in the Dead Sea Scroll time period as well. It says this this is First Enoch 45, 3-5. On that day, my elect one shall sit on the throne of glory and shall judge their works. So what do we have here? A judgment from the elect one. So we should know that this is them finna give a commentary on Isaiah and Daniel. They're giving a commentary on Daniel chapter 7, and they're giving a commentary on Isaiah 65 to explain that Daniel 7 and Isaiah 25 should be looked at as coexisting with one another and not separate. So they are explaining that Isaiah 65 and Daniel 7 should be looked at together and not separate. So this is how you understand the flow of the Bible. So before there was a New Testament, this is how they understood the flow of the Bible. They understood that Isaiah and Daniel goes together and not supposed to be separate. They understood that already. So now, this is what's stated. On that day, my elect one shall sit on the throne of glory and shall judge their works, and their places of rest shall be innumerable, and their souls shall grow strong within them when they see my elect ones and those who have called upon my glorious name. Then I will cause my elect one to dwell among them. What did the book of Jubilees say? After this, the Lord is going to be amongst his people, right? So now we finding out the Lord is the elect one according to the authors of Enoch, and he's going to dwell among his people. Now look what happens next. And I will transform the heaven and make it an eternal blessing and light. And I will transform the earth and make it a blessing. And I will cause my elect ones to dwell upon it. But the sinners and evildoers shall not set foot on it. Okay? So you have the information right there, right? The information right there says the judgment comes first, then the transformation of the new heavens and earth. The book of the Revelation says the same thing. So Isaiah has to be talking about what happens after the millennial reign and not before, because the heavens and earth are transformed after the judgment. And the judgment happens after the millennial reign. You see what happens when you put down Google and start listening to how the ancient Israelites viewed their text? Anybody can make Google win. These are modern day people who are not ancient Israelites, and they don't know what. They're winging it. But what I like, see, this is what Enoch says in First Enoch 45. And I don't want you people to get lost in, because y'all know, y'all say, hey, y'all for preterists. Y'all say all things have been fulfilled. So that means that First Enoch has been fulfilled. What you're reading right there, my brother, in First Enoch 45. And if he's given an understanding of Daniel 7, and he's given an understanding of Isaiah 65, that means that had to already happen, my brother. And then no one say that they saw any elect one sitting on a throne. Did no one say they saw some heavens transformed or some earth transformed, or they didn't look at no elect ones and their heart was burning? Nobody saw that. So why are you saying that happens? This kind of defeats your point. Well, I'm going to show you how First Enoch 45 started off, and this should tell you how you're supposed to understand scriptures. And you guys are going to hate this. You guys are going to actually probably block me. You guys are going to call me ignorant, call me dumb, and say, I don't understand. But let me show you what the ancient Israelites, when they was giving commentary on Daniel and Isaiah, this is how they started off. First Enoch 45, starting at verse number 1. And this is the second parable concerning those who deny the name of the dwelling of the holy ones and the Lord of spirits. And into the heaven they shall not ascend, on the earth they shall not come. Such shall be the such shall be the lot of the sinners who have denied the name of the Lord of spirits, and who are thus preserved for the day of suffering and tribulation. On that day, mine elect one shall sit on the throne of glory. So I have already read verse 3. Now I read verse 1 and 2. What was just uncovered there? What was just said? The ancient Israelites said, this is a parable. See, this is going to grind some of y'all gears. See, some of y'all ain't going to like this because some of y'all are hyper literal, right? Some of y'all will, oh, that got to happen exactly like it says. That got to be, the earth really has to be destroyed and transformed, and the heaven really has to be destroyed and transformed. And the sinners, they really have to be taken directly off of the earth. And the righteous people, they really have to stay on the earth and be shining like light bulbs. That's really what got to happen. Meanwhile, the people who received the scriptures first said, this is a parable, which means you're supposed to get something deeper from it. You see, this is your problem with full preterism. When full preterism said, hey, all biblical things have been fulfilled, and when you go around start saying, when did this happen? When did that happen? When did this happen? When did that happen? Why nobody said they saw this? Why nobody said they saw that? Meanwhile, we got the ancient Jews saying these things are parabolic. You're supposed to understand them from a spiritual meaning. They're parabolic in nature. See, you don't want to hear that. You want to hear that God is making a hyper literal book. You don't want to hear that you got to use the spirit to understand this. No. You want some hyper literalism. It's got to happen exactly like it says. And that's why people are confused today. That's why people walk away from the Bible today, because they read the Bible and they know this literally don't make sense. They know literally, how can Jesus be seen by everybody at one time? How can Jesus be seen by blind people? How can Jesus be seen by people in a coma? How can Jesus be seen by tribes that's on the other side of the world that people don't even know exist, at the same time that people on the opposite side of the world see him? How is every bug going to see him? How is the people that's in the ocean that's going around and swimming? How are they going to see him when the people that's on the other side of the planet who's laying down in their bed seeing him at the same time? See, people start using common sense and say that don't make sense. So then they say that book is a fairy tale book. I'm going to walk away from that book. Y'all heard it tonight. Y'all heard it tonight in the debate. People are going to say that's fairy tale. And they're going to walk away. But when we come and tell y'all it's not fairy tale, it's parabolic. Oh, y'all too spiritualizing it. Y'all keeping God in a box. Oh, that's not what God said. That's not what they said. Y'all see what's going on here? No spiritual discernment on how to understand a book created by spirit. No spiritual discernment. They think that the spirit had to write to the flesh. Meanwhile, the spirit is writing to the spirit. But anyway, let me continue on. So, I know I lost some subscribers then. I know some people blocked me then. I know some people called me dumb and ignorant then. They said, hey, even though it says parabolic, it can't be parabolic. It's hyperliteral. Jesus is really going to come out of the sky and everybody's going to see him. And he's going to lift all the great people up and all the wicked people is going to be destroyed. And then at the same time, somehow all knees are going to bow in the middle of him doing this. And then he's going to destroy heavens and earth and create a new heavens and earth. And then all of the good people is going to be on that heavens and earth. Yeah, it says, yes, what's going to happen because the Bible said it. See? Not understanding how the ancient Israelites viewed their scriptures. See, the first century community, James, John, Paul, the Messiah, they already knew this is how they viewed the scriptures. So Christ increased the understanding. Okay, let me show you how to understand it even better. But I'm not done. Let's go to 2 Peter now. If you guys don't know, 2 Peter wasn't accepted by wasn't accepted as authoritative from the beginning churches. They knew that Peter did not write it. They looked at it as good literature, but it's not canonical because they know that this isn't Peter's writing style. But that doesn't mean you can't glean some information from it. And it's also, when people try to talk against full preterists, guess what they try to use? 2 Peter, the book that's not even canonical to the beginning churches. They try to go to 2 Peter and use that to speak against full preterists, not even knowing that in the old days you wouldn't even had a 2 Peter. Then what was you going to use? But anyway, let's read what 2 Peter said. Let's see how 2 Peter described this heavens and earth. 2 Peter 3:11. Since all these things are thus to be dissolved, what sort of people ought you to be in lives of holiness and godliness? Here's verse 12. Waiting for the hastening and the coming of the day of God. So now he's talking about the day of the Lord when judgment was going to happen. Listen to what he says about that day of the Lord. Because of which the heavens will be set on fire and dissolved, and the heavenly bodies will melt as they burn. But according to his promise, we are waiting for new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells. So according to the author of 2 Peter, the new heavens and the new earth where righteousness dwells would not happen until the first heaven and earth was taken out of the way. Do y'all not know that the first heaven and earth was taken away after the millennial reign? Revelation 20:11. Revelation 20:11. And I quote, says this. Then I saw a great white throne and him who was seated on it. From his presence, earth and the sky fled away. Don't y'all not know that's the passing of the old heaven and earth? And no place was found for them. According to Second Peter, that's the first judgment, which happens according to the revelation after the millennial reign. But Peter says, the author of Second Peter says, they are waiting for new heavens and a new earth. That was a promise. Where's that promise at, everybody? Where is that promise of new heavens and a new earth? Isaiah 65. We all know that. Okay? We all know that. But then, people will say this. We understand, brother. We understand that the new heavens and the new earth happens after the judgment. But verse 20, Isaiah 65 and 20, let me read it. Neither shall there be there anymore a child that dies untimely, or an old man who shall not complete his time. For the youth shall be 100 years old, and the sinner who dies at 100 years old shall also be accursed. They say, hey, that happens in the millennial reign. See, the whole problem with this is people, they try to teach that physical death was going to stop. That's the problem with 21st century Bible teachers. They teach against scriptures because they believe a certain thing. Not because God said it, not because Jesus said it, not because the law of the prophets said it, but because they believe a certain thing, then they teach against the Bible. So when they hear that people are still going to be dying, they then start to create new doctrines. So this is the new doctrine. Isaiah 65, 17 through 19 is about the new heavens and earth that happens after judgment. But Isaiah 65 and 20, the next verse, is about the millennial reign. And in the millennial reign, if Isaiah 65 and 20 is about the millennial reign, that's why people are still dying. Because it's not talking about what happens after judgment. It talks about what happens before judgment. So now their doctrine is verse 19 is about the new heavens. Verse 20 is about the old heavens. Even though Isaiah doesn't say that at all, neither does he hint it. That's what they try to make you believe. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go to First Enoch again. And let's see how First Enoch, the Jews from the ancient world, let's see if they agree that verse 20 should happen before the judgment, which is the millennial reign. Here's Isaiah, First Enoch 5, 8, and 9 is giving their commentary on Isaiah 65, 17 through following. This is what it says. And then there shall be bestowed upon the elect wisdom. See, people don't understand. That's what Daniel 12 is talking about. When they're going to start shining like a star. First Enoch already explained what the parable means. And then there shall be bestowed upon the elect wisdom. That wisdom is the brightness that they're shining. This is why in Ecclesiastes it said a man's wisdom is shown by the shining of his face. See, the Bible explains itself. And then there shall be bestowed upon the elect wisdom. And let's listen to what it says. And they shall all live and never again sin, either through ungodliness or through pride. But they who are wise shall be humble, and they shall not again transgress, nor shall they sin all the days of their life, nor shall they die of the divine anger or wrath, but they shall complete the number of the days of their life. So you know when Isaiah 65:20 said, neither shall there be any more child that dies untimely. The the people from Enoch explains that dies untimely means that they will not die of the divine anger. See? That untimely death dealt with divine anger and wrath. Now they're not going to do that no more. But he said, but they shall complete the number of the days of their life. And what what does Isaiah 65:20 say? Or an old man who shall not complete his time. So now we see what they're talking about. Here's the rest of it. And their lives shall be increased in peace, and the years of their joy shall be multiplied in eternal gladness and peace all the days of their life. When was the eternal gladness and peace offered? Because they tell you that this is the millennial reign. Have you not read the millennial reign? This is what happens. Satan is bound for 1,000 years, and the other people came to life, and the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years was ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he who shares in the first resurrection. But what happens when those 1,000 years are over? When the 1,000 years are ended, Satan will be released from his prison and will come out to deceive the nations that are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them for battle. Does that sound like peace to you guys? And they marched up over the broad plain of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city. But fire came down from heaven and consumed them. Does that sound like peace? Does that sound like that these people are living, and let me read it again, and their lives shall be increased in peace, and the years of their joy shall be multiplied in eternal gladness and peace. So you mean to tell me when Satan was released, these people had eternal gladness and peace? When the Lord had to intervene for them, is that when they received that eternal gladness or peace, or was it before then? When the armies of the world came to war against them. Does that sound like eternal peace to you guys? Because according to First Enoch, that these people, they're not going to die of the divine anger or wrath anymore, and they should complete the number of their days in peace, and their gladness shall be multiplied. See, the Lord isn't saying that people isn't going to die physically. That's not what the Lord is saying. The Lord is saying his people will have peace, while the other people will be accursed, just like Isaiah says. But just in case y'all say, no, I don't see it, we're going to read 2nd Baruch, which was around after the destruction of the temple, created by some of the ancient Jews, and some people say even some of the early Christians that lived in first century. Let's see how they looked at Isaiah 65. This is 2nd Baruch 73, 1 through 7. And it shall come to pass when he has brought low everything that is in the world, aka everything is in subjection to him, and has set down in peace for the age on the throne of his kingdom, that joy shall then be revealed and rest shall appear. All right, so now when the Lord sits down on his throne, then peace is going to happen, right? So let's see if this is when he sits down on his throne. Let's see if this is talking about the millennial reign or something else. Let's see. And then healing shall descend in dew, and disease shall withdraw, and anxiety and anguish and lamentation pass from among men, and gladness proceed through the whole earth. And no one shall again die untimely, nor shall any adversity suddenly befall. So now we should understand when it says no one is going to die untimely. We should understand what that's talking about. But when was this supposed to happen? When disease withdraw, when anxiety and anguish and lamentation pass from amongst men. When does that happen? Revelation 21, verse number 4. And he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for the former things have passed away. That happens after the millennial reign, people. Let's go back to with Second Baruch, how they are exegeting Isaiah. So this is what's stated here. And then healing shall descend and dew. We know that's the tree of life. And disease shall withdraw. That's when God is with his people. And anxiety and anguish and lamentation pass from amongst men. The Revelation literally says these things pass away. Let's keep reading. And gladness proceed through the whole earth. Sorry, I got throat dry. Let's hurry up and finish this. And no one shall die again untimely, nor shall any adversity suddenly befall. That's a direct correlation to Isaiah 65 and 20. And listen to what else it says. And judgments and abusive talk and contentions and revenges and blood and passions and envy and hatred and whatsoever things are like these shall go into condemnation when they are removed. For it is these very things which have filled the world with evils. So you see how they didn't blame demons right there? They said this is what filled the world with evil. This is what the Lord wanted to get rid of, people. Abusive talk, contentions, revenge, blood, which is killing, passions, envy, hatred, stuff like that. That's what the Lord came to get rid of. He didn't come to give a whole bunch of people slaves. Let's be for real. But here's verse 5. For it is these very things which have filled this world with evils. And on account of these things, the life of man has been greatly troubled. Now listen to how he ends this. And wild beasts shall come from the forest and minister unto men. And asps and dragons shall come forth from their holes to submit themselves to a little child. That's Isaiah 11. And women shall no longer then have pain, when they bear, nor shall they suffer torment when they yield the fruit of the womb. That's all promises, that's all parabolic promises in Isaiah 11, showing that the end of Isaiah 11 is supposed to be taken with Isaiah 65. Once again, they're trying to explain you how to piece together the Bible. So they're showing that the end of Isaiah 65 is supposed to be taken with Isaiah 11. And they're explaining that these things happen in the new heaven and earth. So the realization of Isaiah 65 and Isaiah 11 to them was going to be realized in the new heaven and earth and not the millennial reign. Thank you all for listening in. So that is not Google, not no 21st century person, not no modern day scholar, but this is the ancient world giving their commentary on how they viewed Isaiah 65:17 through the end. So they put this after the judgment and not before the judgment. The judgment happened after the millennial reign according to the revelation of Jesus Christ. So no one believed Isaiah 65 from these sources we have. No one believed that that was going to happen before the judgment. Hence, it cannot be talking about the millennial reign, which literally happens before the judgment. All right, thank you all for listening in. This is Elvin Israel, and I am done.
Thank you for clicking on the video AOSD-CHANDLER. This is one of your favorite biblical instructors from rpk-resurrection, prophecy, and kingdom. You know, one of your favorite biblical groups out there that's teaching the Bible from the ancient Hebraic mindset. Please also check out the other motion that we have going on. Go to Amazon, check out Instructor Joe Wad's book, Give Credit When Credit is Due, Credit Building for Kids. Also go to Instagram, where we have Instructor Michael Israel providing a product for a healthier lifestyle. Go to Alkaline Is Life Shop on Instagram. And if you have not, make sure you cop the book, The Circumcision and Uncircumcision of Genesis chapter 1, Mystery of the Gardens Revealed.